Hi, this is Jordy with Northern Homesteading. Now we raise potbelly pigs for meat. That's my preferred heritage breed meat pig. It's the Vietnamese potbelly pig. Now we like to give as healthy and well-rounded of a diet as you can for them and try to feed them more natural and organic, a pasture-style diet. Although I don't have pasture for my pigs. I keep them in their pens, move them around a bit, but I keep them in their pens. So if you have a pig just penned up in a pen, how can you feed them a healthy pasture-type diet? And most of what we feed them is what we grow ourselves. It's taken a little work to figure out kind of what I can grow throughout the year to feed them well. This is what I've learned. Now for starters, I grow a lot of corn. I grow some corn and a few other grains. I fed them a lot of corn already as soon as the corn was finished, but that's all gone now. As through the growing season, they get any produce, any fruits and vegetables as they're growing through the summer, the tomatoes and beans and whatnot, whatever I get too much for. And I always plant a little extra anyways, so I'll have some left over to give to the pigs. Now towards the fall, I get to harvest my grains. I've already went through most of the corn. And I got my pumpkins. We're running near the end of the pumpkins, but pumpkins is something they totally love more than anything, apparently. They really like the pumpkins, all squashes. But getting near the end of that, I'm starting to feed more of the cold weather crops, like I got my fodder beets and turnips. Unfortunately, they don't like either fodder beets or turnips. Esther, don't play with that. Okay? Okay, so they don't really like the fodder beets or the turnips. But they didn't like the pumpkins at first either. So there's a process that I use to help acclimate them, get them used to eating something. And then, I can't hold you right now, I'm working. So then we get them used to eating it, and then they're happy with it. And here's what I do. I call it the chop and slop method. So first I'm going to take something that they do like, a pumpkin here. And I'm just going to chop off part of a pumpkin that they really like. A nice sweet smelling pumpkin. Hold on. Back up, sir. Back up, honey. Back up. And I'm just going to chop it. That's a big noise, isn't it? So I want it chopped fairly fine. Because I'm going to dice a whole bunch of this stuff up and mix the flavors together so that they'll kind of get used to eating some of the other flavors. But since they won't eat, these pigs won't eat my turnips or beets straight up right now, I'm going to water them down a bit. So I got that. Now I'm going to throw in one of my fodder beets, my mango beets. This is one of the midgets that didn't grow very big. Now this is also a good technique for, it's okay, for just feeding them a nice varied diet. You can chop it all up like that and mix it up if you want to. There's all the greens too, just chop them right up. So I've got some of my fodder beets in there. Now I'm going to grab some turnips. These are all undergrown turnips. I cover crop with turnips in some of my garden rows after I'm done growing. And because I've planted so close together as a cover crop, they don't grow big bulbs, so they're all small. But the pigs will still eat them if I can convince them they're good for you. So, I'm going to chop some of those up. Ooh, these are cold. They're all so frosty. My goodness. Half frozen and frosty. And I need to get new gloves for this season yet. So you got a nice tossed salad. Oh, I got one more turnip here. Okay. Now we're going to put it all in here. You put it all in here, Esther?
Of course, I would.
But that's not everything. Here's my secret weapon. This is a little sweet feed. This is the cheap sweet feed. Tractor Supply Co. sells this for about $7.50 for a bag of 50 pounds. I'm going to put a handful of that in there, maybe 2 handfuls. I'll be nice to them. Put everything else in with it. Ooh, cold, frozen stuff. Yes, like a chef for pigs. Now, we're going to put a little bit of water in it. You're going to toss it. Thank you for helping. Now we're going to just put a dab of water in it. The water will soften up those sweet feed pellets, and the molasses will kind of spread around. Here, tell you what, that's not going to mix good. I'm going to use the big bucket, okay? Apparently big buckets work better when I'm doing 2 pigs worth at once. So now everything's in there, the vegetables, the ones they like and the ones they don't like, with a little sweet feed to make it tempting. A little bit of water to loosen up the molasses in the sweet feed. And just shake it up. And mix it up. Goes fairly quick, goes an awful lot quicker when it's warm out, but it's 30 degrees this morning, so it's a little bit nippy. Does that look yummy or yucky?
Yucky.
It kind of looks yucky, but the pigs are going to love it. It actually smells like a nice salad. A little bit sweet and all those greens. All right, now let's take a scoop. Here, mister. Okay. At first, he'll probably kind of pick through what he wants, but just with the flavors, be it all mingled and mixed, and with that molasses in there, he's going to probably pretty quickly choose that this is good enough to eat. Give a scoop. It does tend to work a little better if I put it all in a trough. That is another tip I'll mention here. When you're feeding the little piggies, or big piggies, if you always put the feed in some kind of trough, bucket, or container instead of just dumping it on the ground, they'll associate anything you put in their feed trough or food bucket as what they're supposed to eat, and they're going to be much more inclined to want to eat it. Here you go, missus. Yeah, beautiful chopped salad with a little sweet feed of molasses in there. Here, I'll give you a little more. See if I can reach your food bowl. There you go. So that there is my trick for feeding pot-bellied pigs, or any pig that doesn't want to eat their vegetables when they're supposed to. I'll do that with anything really. If I'm trying to get a new pig used to eating grass, I'll chop up a bunch of grass for them. Maybe if I want them to get used to eating any kind of clovers or any alfalfa, any of those legumes, just chop it up and mix it with what they're used to eating. And I'll add a little sweet feed the first couple times that I'm feeding it to them, so they really like it. After that, they kind of get used to eating the flavor a little, and then they associate it with food, which means they're much more inclined to just chow down on it later. So that's my tips on feeding my pot-bellied pigs. And just getting them to eat their food when they don't want to. Great ways to feed them different fodders and introduce different feeds to them. And these are great types of fodders to grow for your pot-bellied pigs. I grow lots of turnips, root crops, turnips and beets out here because they grow good. I grow my corn for the pigs, and I grow all different sorts of pumpkins and squashes. This one is actually one of my hybrids. It's a half pumpkin, half spaghetti squash. Apparently it didn't store that well in the freeze. I keep them all stored outside. But the pigs love it, and they're awful healthy for the pigs too. So there you have it. Feed them just like I showed you here. Pumpkins and squashes of all shapes and sizes, turnips, beets, rutabagas if you want to. They're wonderful crops to grow for some good feed value and great vitamins, just overall great feed options to add, as long as you have a little protein with it for a growing pig. Well, thanks for watching Northern Homesteading. Catch you later.